welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Malamed, Shlita. We continue midweek with our study of Birchat Kohanim. Please continue to daven for Charlei Tzvagan Yisrael, Refuah Shalom L'chol P'tzui Yisrael, safe return of all of our hostages, and we dedicate our learning to Nishmat, Sarah and Daniel Shem and Harav Jordan V'Sheli Hasham Yakum Damo. The next chapter, Makom Amidas HaMizbarchim. Let's talk about where people should be situated. When the Kohanim are giving the blessing and they're Duchening, so those who are being blessed should be facing them. As the pasuk in Naso said, so shall you bless the Bnei Yisrael, and this is how you say to them, Chazal tell us that the blessing of the Kohanim has to be the way people speak to their friends. Which is face to face. And they have to do it out loud so that everyone who's receiving the blessing can hear it. And even though the Kohanim obviously are required to stand, if for some reason the Kohen can't stand, Me'ikar Hadin, he says, from the base letter of the law, they actually could sit. But the custom is that everyone stands for Birchat Kohanim, certainly the Kohanim, that they all stand. In our shul, we're blessed to have a senior Kohen, a Holocaust survivor, and he stands and duchens with pride, and if he can duchen and stand, I don't see why anybody else can't. But let's say a Kohen who is sick, weak, for whatever reason, let's say it's Yom Kippur and not a good faster, and it comes to duchening, late in Musaf, so then he can sit. If you're standing behind the Kohanim, then you're not included in the blessing. But if you're in line with them, if you're parallel to them, and you turn towards them, then you'll be included in the blessing. So let's say those who are in the first row or rows of the synagogue, depending on the configuration of the shul, they have to estimate and measure whether they'll be behind the Kohanim or directly next to them. If they're directly next to them, they may not be required to move. They could just sort of turn towards them. However, if their place in the shul is actually behind the Kohanim, then they should get up and move to a different place during the period of Duchening. So I'll give you two examples for this. Number one is where I sit, since I'm the rabbi of the shul, and I sit on, we call it the bima, a place where the Kohanim Duchening. Obviously, I step off because, first of all, I'm not a Kohen, and I'm not going to Duchen, and second of all, if I want to receive the blessing, I have to be in front of them, and if I would stay in my regular seat, I would be very much behind them. Also, the way our shul is configured is because the bima juts out quite a bit. There are of those, both the men and women's section, whose seats, let's say those who are davening in the front of the room, towards the windows that are in the front of our shul, if they stand there like they often do during Chazaras Hashatz, if they stand there during Birchas Kohanim, they will not be included in the bracha, so they should just step back a few feet so they could be included in the blessing. All those who stand in the shul facing the Kohanim are included in the bracha. So the notion of chatzitza separation does not apply here, meaning that everyone who is facing the Kohanim, let's say you have a very large room, and let's say there's a very tall person in front of you, that doesn't separate from the Kohanim to you and prevent your ability from receiving the blessing. That doesn't work like that. Or let's say there's a pole or a post. Since you're in that room and you're facing the Kohanim, you'll be part of the bracha. But someone who turns away from the Kohanim is not in the bracha. This is one of my pet peeves. I've spoken about it for years and years and years. I don't know why. It was a custom that was found in many, many synagogues. I think it stemmed from ignorance, that because there was this notion that you're not allowed to look at the Kohanim. There is that idea that while the Kohanim duchening, you don't look at their hands. That's one of the reasons why they cover their hands. So many people, and I saw it more so in the women's sections, would actually turn around. They would turn around so that they don't look at the Kohanim. The problem is that when you turn around, you're actually rejecting the blessing of the Kohanim, and that's counterproductive. So I always try to tell people they should face forward, not to turn around. That's absolutely the wrong thing to do, to turn around while the Kohanim are duchening. And this is again what Reb Melamed repeats here. Misha machmas ones lobo beis hakneses nichlal b'bracha. Let's say someone who couldn't make it to shul is still included in the blessing. Somebody who had to go out for work. And again, we're talking about in Israel where they duchen during every single weekday. So let's say somebody was in shul and had to leave. They also included in this blessing because it's directed to all the people of Israel. The only ones that are not included, as I mentioned, the ones that turn around, or perhaps those who have the ability to come to shul, but they're lazy, negligent, whatever reason they don't come, then they will not be included in this blessing. He adds here a very interesting note, which says that, let's say you're in the middle of Shemona Esrei, and you're standing behind the Kohanim. What should you do? So he says that you shouldn't stop in the middle of your Shemona Esrei to go there. And he says this is considered like an onus, someone who is in a situation that's beyond his control. And he says the same way is that the Chazanim, if they are behind the Kohanim, I don't know how this would happen. Normally the people leading the service would make sure, because they know there's duchening, they would be in front of the Kohanim, but for some reason they were not. They also don't turn around in the middle. And it's not considered a hefsek. Let's say someone's in the middle of davening and they get to Kohanim, so he should just be quiet. If you're in the middle of Shemona Esrei and you can be included in the bracha, you should just stop and listen. And the same that applies with Kedusha, Kaddish, etc., etc., etc. So we have lots of practical situations to consider, but if you're still in these situations, you have to know what to do. And again, for us in Chutz La'aretz, where duchening is so rare, rather, then maybe for some davening is rare too, I don't know. But since duchening is so rare, we make sure that we're in the proper positions and the proper mindset to be able to receive these very special blessings. So thanks again for listening. Please continue davening for Chayalei Tzvah Yisrael, for Shlomo Chol B'Tzvei Yisrael, safe return of all of our hostages. Dedicate our Ilai Nishmat, Seren Daniel Shemen, Harav Daron V'Shel Hashem Yikum Damo. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Maybe we should say have a blessed day.